Oh, yes. Oh, we'll get started in a minute. I know it's an early day. I got a lot of ground to cover. Oh, gather in. Let's did this. Oh, thank you, CSL. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Thank you, people. Here we get to going. All right, we're up on Instagram. We're up on all the sites. All right, hold on. Sometimes I just got to check myself in the mirror right before we go on to make sure I'm pretty, especially when one of my lights is out. But it's kind of nice. I like it. It gives me kind of a noir lighting thing. You know what I mean? Where there's a little bit of darkness. It's good as a metaphor for where we are and where we're going to be and where we find ourselves at. Hi, chat room. I missed you guys in the bigger window, so now I can see you, which is really helpful. Very exciting stuff coming up. I'm doing a cancer benefit at the Improv this Sunday night in Los Angeles, and then I've got a week of normal. And as far as just all the shows that I cram into my day, but also at here basically, and I'm going to officially I will vote Monday because that's when I'm going to drop off my ballot. Very exciting. Very exciting. And then a week from next Tuesday, keep track of that on your calendar. The 29th, of course, is the Ultimate Jam Night. It will be our Halloween edition, even though we're a couple of days early. which is good because I have a DMV appointment on Halloween. I'm just saying my picture this time is going to be fucked up. So welcome everybody. Hit the like, share the show. I realize I am on at a different time, but I'm sort of making up for lost time with some of this stuff because there's so many requests for me to cover things, and being on the road and doing all that kind of stuff, or, you know, it's eaten into my time. And I wanted to cover right out of the gate a couple of things. Trump's Univision gaggle, which, you know, in little bits, I've seen little bits that are hilarious, but I would like to see the rest of it just to see how embarrassing and messed up it is. And I'd also, of course, like to, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll please, like to cover this. This is, for those of you who don't know, this is Bret Baier. And Bret Baier is is trying to get himself back in Trump's good graces. The problem he has, besides the fact that there are none, is that it only lasts until you ask the next tough question. And if you want to have a future in the business, he's one of the younger people at Fox in terms of at least perceives. I don't think Jesse Waters has any illusions that he's going to be Tom Brokaw, right? And Sean Hannity is well over the other side of that hill, and it's not happening. Again, Sean Hannity will pass away old and friendless, hopefully a long time from now. I wish no ill death or illness on anyone. There's some folks, but they have to really, really cross the line. But Bret Baier here is under the misapprehension, perhaps, but we'll see, that he could possibly be the next Chris Wallace of Fox eventually, if things get normal again, right? So there's that illusion. But at the same time, you can't have this job unless you toe the line. Yeah, so Kamala brought her bear spray to to this, and we will see the whole thing, you and me. So get yourself some snacks, you know, hunker down, pull up your blanket. It's very chill out there, and this show, yes, is dedicated to Jakey Lee. May he have a fast recovery. Holy God, I'm almost ashamed to be as big a Zakk Wylde fan as I am, because the Jakey Lee era of Ozzy, guitar-wise, is, it pegs the needle. That's all I can say. I don't believe in kind of grading first, second, third, or whatever, because taste is a big part of it. If there'd have been Jakey Lee guitar playing with sort of the No More Tears songwriting, forget about it. So, anyways, oh, thanks. And my shoulders looking better? Yeah, because I'm healing. My arms are healing now, and I even have the little flat spot on my tricep back, which was gone because it was screwed up. It's it's coming back. See that? Feel that little thing? Yeah. See that on here? It's normal. See that? That's a normal tricep. This one was injured, and now it's finally growing. I'm so excited. I got a lopsided gun show right now, and it bugs me. I haven't lost any strength. I know some of you are wondering, like, Hal, why not get right to it? Because it's you and I. We're here. We're sharing this. I didn't, in the entirety of it, it's weird. I didn't really lose any strength in the arm. It's the shoulder press part of it that got messed up. So I couldn't even do push-ups. It's very weird. Like, I could lift really heavy stuff, but this was the problem. Use a TENS unit. I have one, Lindsay. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, I have electrocuted myself quite thoroughly. And I also have one of those Theraguns. I beat the living garbage out of myself doing this. So anyways, I have a beverage. I am drinking salt water. I'm not kidding. This is that Element, because I slept like 3 hours last night. I missed my flight. I didn't miss it. I knew I was going to miss it. So like an adult, I changed it at the last second. And I flew in this morning from KC. And so I'm going on like, I got a hotel room and I slept like 3 hours and then went to the airport. So I'm making sure I have my electrolytes. As we do. It tastes like somebody rinsed a watermelon in icy seawater. And it's so good. This is not an ad. I'm just telling you what I'm drinking. So, all right. Now, let's get into this. I want to see the whole thing. Ladies and gentlemen, Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide, the greatest live stream ever. I'm Hal Sparks, the most Hal Sparks you'll ever see. Like, subscribe, share, etc., etc., etc. Also, subscribe to the podcast, Hal Sparks Podcast, Mega Worldwide, wherever you get your podcast from. Apparently, whatever site most people are going to, Ron Hartenbaum is checking the other one, so he's very depressed. So we have to get our numbers up. I mean, it's brand new. It just started. I'm not going to get numbers. For God, I don't have spillage. It's just me here. I'm a one-man band. Get off my ass. But please subscribe. So here we go. And we'll just 1 second. Hold on. Here we go. And I apologize for how irritated you will get with Brett Baer talking over her. Now, I have to say, we did the 60 Minutes one as well, and there was just as much talking over her. It wasn't necessarily better because it was CBS. I'm just saying, she's going to the tough places even when they're supposed to be friendly.
Thank you. It's good to be with you, Brett.
You know, voters tell pollsters all over the country and here in Pennsylvania that immigration is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the influx of.
Also, when has it ever not been? Real quick, polls tell it all that immigration is. Has there ever been an ebb at all? I mean, there's a panic about it in Maggot Town, but can we honestly?
Illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries.
Is that the scary part? What's the good number for you, Brett? 7? If they're illegal, but they're only coming from 9 countries, when it's a crest into double digits, I'm sleepy. That's when you start to get nervous, dum-dum.
How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but right now, just a number. Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just.
What do you think it is? Ballpark. Here, hey, Brett, I'll answer it for you. Okay, I'm going to do this for all maggots. Zip in here. You guys will probably watch this later. I hope you stumble on this video later. I'm going to tell you something. Do you know why Republicans don't want to include undocumented immigrants in the census? Do you know why? Because if they did, you'd find out there's not nearly as many of them in the country as you say they are. Now, I know you think that they all break out of insane asylums and claw their way across 1,000 miles over, only pausing to sexually assault children and eat a farmer here in, between whatever country they manage to escape from. And they get here and they live superhuman lives and never pass away. But I got news for you. They die all the time. And some of them go back home willingly. Some people come in and work and split. Some people have, I don't know if you're familiar with this word, I think in South America in many places it's called familia. They have family, right? And they go and work for a little while and then they go back. That happens all the fucking time. You want to talk about gotaways? Let's talk about the gotaways that came in, worked for a while, and then got away. They fucked off. They're no longer here. And so the number isn't anywhere near 3 million, 5 million, 20 million, any of that shit. Our probable overall number is somewhere between 9 and 11 million people that are here undocumented at any given time. Now, they are not always the same people. That's the thing. Some people come in and stick around for a while. Some people come in and pass away. Some people come in and stay for a bit and then leave. There's a lot of that. A lot of it's visa overstays anyways. That's the other thing you don't want to count. Because if you went to New York City and you went, holy shit, our undocumented immigrants in terms of visa overstays in New York dwarfs the shit out of any county in Texas. Or any 10 counties in Texas.
Just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have
it's a
an
rough
immigration
estimate of
system
6 million people have been released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question, I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies. Most significantly, the policy that required illegal immigrants to be detained through deportation, either in the U.S. or in Mexico. And you switched that policy. They were released from custody awaiting trial. So instead...
Yeah, not all of them, dummy. Let's be abundantly clear. We're talking about overflow, and that's why you need the border bill to fix the number of people who are having their case adjudicated.
Included in those were a large number of single men, adult men, who...
Yes, what I would refer to as roofing age men, plumbing age men, siding aged men, drywalling aged men, fruit picking aged men, bushel carrying aged men, restaurant cook and server aged men. You know, your biggest working fucking years.
Went on to commit heinous crimes. So, looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the Chips and Science Act, before the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the... Yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please? But you have to let me finish,
You
please.
had the White House and the House and the Senate, and they didn't bring up that bill.
I'm in the middle of responding to the point you're raising, and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, she was the vice president. She can't sign this. She wouldn't have been the one to sign it into law. And who do you think ran interference?
We recognized from day one that, to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people.
Hold on, let me grab
this. And our focus has been on fixing a problem. And from day one, then, we have done a number of things, including to address our asylum system and put more resources, getting more judges, what we needed to do to tighten up penalties and increase penalties for illegal crossings, what we needed to do to deal with points of entry between border entry points. That's the work we did, and we worked on supporting what was a bipartisan effort, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, to actually strengthen the border. That border bill would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border, which is why I believe the Border Patrol agents supported the bill. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States.
Real quick. I'd almost forgot in my earlier dunking on Bret Baier that Remain in Mexico did not allow everybody into the country. Anybody who came in was not automatically allowed in the country. You had to have an asylum claim. Now, the asylum standards are fairly loose comparative to what would be in the border bill, for example, but they do exist. And you are put through an interview process and all that kind of stuff before you're determined to need asylum versus something else. And most of the, roofing age men that he's talking about automatically didn't qualify and don't qualify for asylum, right? You're talking about largely women and children and whole family units who've come up and that kind of stuff. That's why the volume, too, is because you were looking at entire families coming up as opposed to these individuals. Just saying. Okay. So Biden stopped at the Remain in Mexico policy for asylum seekers specifically. You don't get to just come in and they just take your word for it either. There's a process. The standard should be higher, right? And there's ways of like working around it, and there are NGOs and Republican NGOs, by the way, that drive up the numbers of people crossing because they think it's a good issue for them. You think Donald Trump just wanted to kill the bill? You don't think Steve Bannon and others were putting ads in South American newspapers and shit saying the border's wide open, come and get it? Of course they did. So the point is, the changes that the Biden-Harris administration made was in asylum seekers being able to stay in the country while their case is adjudicated, not just anybody who crosses the border.
Which is a scourge affecting people of every background.
Oh dear. Scourge. It's pronounced scourge. Is that a Washington thing now? Scourge, milady.
Background, every geographic location in our country, killing people. It would have allowed us to put more resources into prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, which I have done as the Attorney General, former Attorney General of a border state.
Madam Vice President, a couple of things.
Prosecuted trafficking of drugs, guns, and human beings. And Donald Trump, but let me just finish.
6 Democrats voted against that bill.
6.
About that bill and told them to kill it because he preferred to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And in this election, this is rightly a discussion that the American people want to have. And what they want are solutions. And they want a president of the United States who's not playing political games with the issue,
I hear you,
but actually is focused on fixing it.
6 Democrats voted against that bill. It would have allowed 1.8 million illegal immigrants into the country a year.
No, it would not have. Just real quick. It would not have allowed any in. It would have adjudicated the cases of asylum seekers up to that number. That doesn't mean you get to stay. It also doesn't mean that once they adjudicate your asylum case, you get to stay. It might kick you right the fuck back out. No one is guaranteed once they cross the border. That in and of itself is a fucking dinner bell he's ringing, basically saying, if you can just get in and you're under the 1.9, you better hurry, right? You better get in here. Because if you clear that, if we clear that line, we're not taking anybody else. So it creates a bum rush. The lie about the bill itself creates more of the problem.
A lot of conservatives had a problem with it. These are the 6 Democrats. But more importantly, back to the original premise. Yeah,
here's the 6 Democrats that voted against it. Yes, Bernie voted against it. But again, Bernie's going to. You're gonna trade Bernie's vote for 3 Republicans more than likely, which is what it would have been essentially. That's why it had to be done through Langford. You were going to get his vote, but there weren't enough to offset them. That was the issue, and the House was going to not bring it up. Mainly the problem was in the House.
Jocelyn Nungary, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley. They are young women who were
right. And if it was an epidemic that every state was a border state, you wouldn't be able to name one of them. There'd be too many of them. If there was this fucking tsunami of immigrant violence, like there is, fucking school shootings. Like, we have a hard time when you're talking about school shootings. We'll bring up something like Parkland or Sandy Hook, but we're aware that it's exemplary of a lot more. And all you got to do is fucking wait. And Fox doesn't give a shit.
Were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated by.
Oh, yeah. You know why? Does anybody want to know the Venezuelan? Oh, motherfucker. You want to talk about, hey, Brett, you want to talk about early in the administration? Just to bring this up, kids, just because I'm human, yes. Trump blocks Venezuelan deportation and last political gift. Why are you doing this? That's the AP. Here, I'll look for a bigger headline anyways. There you go, Politico. Trump grants Venezuelans temporary legal status on his way out. The U.S. will defer for 18 months the removal of certain Venezuelan nationals. That ended up being everybody. And they went to the back of the fucking line. Meaning in a year and a half, did they get, on that you know, in the whatever the 16th month or the, you know, the 18th month, whatever they're, you know, wherever they are, do they automatically go in and go, oh, yeah, you're up? You know, hey, Venezuelans, come on, you're up. No, they don't. They go to the back of the line behind everybody else. So starting in a year and a half, they go back behind all the other people claiming asylum, all the other people claiming that they have a right to be here because of marriage, because of relationships, because they have a family sponsor, because of all those things. They go to the fucking back of the line, meaning 5, 6 fucking years. And for all the shit they talk, Laken Riley was killed by a Venezuelan national, a guy who could not be removed because of Donald Trump's last day in office. Just so you know. By the way, vast majority of Venezuelans who are here, lovely people who, you know, want to work hard, have a part of the American dream, even work here for a little while and go back after their country stabilizes, that kind of thing. Some of them are political, you know, would be political prisoners if they stayed home, or they're political refugees in a lot of ways, right?
Bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed.
Right, and that's the difference. Fuck you! That's the difference between the deferred enforcement, the DED policy, and temporary protected status, TPS. For example, the Haitians that J.D. Vance says are here illegally, they have temporary protected status because of what's going on in Haiti. So they're allowed to come up into the country specifically. That's why they were flown in, because they were adjudicated in another place and brought in to work and live and all that kind of stuff, with the idea that they will go home one day, that they can be here for a little while. Some of them might become American citizens, but a lot of them will leave, okay? And that's TPS. And in that, there's a ton of vetting that has to happen. In the deferred enforcement, there's no enforcement. They don't go through the paperwork. They just give you a fucking... That's what the probation thing that Trump is always talking about. Have fun. See you in a couple of years. That's the difference between deferred enforcement and temporary protected status. Now, late in 2021, Biden started going through. They started like kind of fixing this shit as it went along, and during the first review period of that last act that Trump did, which I believe was at the halfway point between the like the year and a half, right? That they were able to review it. And the minute they reviewed it, they did TPS, which meant they could start bringing these people in and vetting them and seeing who needs to go and who can stay. But there was such a volume of them that it was going to take time. And again, even then, they're at the back of the fucking line. By the way, does Bret Baier know this? Probably.
So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation.
It wouldn't have happened if Trump hadn't given them deferred enforcement protection. If Trump, on his way out the door, had not given Venezuelan migrants deferred enforcement protection on his last day in office, Laken Riley would be alive. Because that guy would have had, at best, temporary protected status, TPS status, and he would have had to go through a bunch of hearings, and they would have said, this guy is fucked up, no good, and kicked him out. I mean, if Harris wanted to, she could pull a Ukraine never would have happened kind of thing with this.
This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe those families an apology?
Let me just say, first of all, those are tragic cases. There's no question about that. There is no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred. So that is true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
Madam Vice President.
To ensure that no future harm would occur. And this election in
Yeah, by the way, every fentanyl death since Trump killed the border bill is, I think, based on Brett Baer's standard, on Trump's head. Yeah, just saying. Also, if I may, Brett Baer, I brought to his attention on Twitter now, because it's Elon Musk running Twitter, he's never going to see my shit. So share my things around, if you would, on Shitter. Because I'm definitely getting, I'm shadow banned on there right now.
20 days will determine whether we have a president of the United States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election, because there was a solution, Brett.
Madam Vice President, it was a policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungare's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology, is what I'm saying.
I will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss. I am so sorry for her loss, sincerely. But let's talk about what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions. Let's talk about that as well.
But do you want to answer
in all fairness, I told you, I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration, even before. Let's all be honest about that. I have no pride in saying that this is a perfect immigration system. I've been clear, I think we all are, that it needs to be fixed. We need more. I was just down at the border talking with border agents, and they will tell you, and I'm sure you probably, I know you investigate and you are a serious journalist, they will tell.
Well, okay, I appreciate her doing this because he, like all maggots, is susceptible to flattery.
Tell you, we need more judges. We need to process those cases faster. We need the support for those cases that should be prosecuted. They need more resources, and Congress ultimately is the only place that's going to get fixed, Brett.
Well,
that's how this system works.
That's the premise of this question.
But
there were 90-plus executive orders that were rescinded in the first days. Many of those were Trump border policies. I'm not going to stay here because there's other things to talk about, but you frequently talk to the Border Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did. They supported it. But they also just endorsed Donald Trump and said, you've been, quote, a failure with border security. Why do you think they said that?
Because the Border Patrol does not endorse candidates at all. A group of Border Patrol agents, Texas ones particularly, and a private group of them did that, not the actual, because federal employees can't pick a candidate.
I think they're frustrated, and I get it. They want support. They want support, and that's what that border security bill would have done. These guys down at the border, these men and women, they're working hard. They're working around the clock. I get it.
There's a lot of people that look back at what you said in 2019 when you first ran for president. And there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you...
DACA. This is, by the way, they're using all the root stuff of DACA as a way, like, these are illegal immigrants. Who gives a shit that they were 9 when they came here? As far as everybody's concerned, the DACA people are illegals still.
Still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again, and as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law, and that is exactly what we will do.
So decriminalizing border crossings, like you said in 2019.
I do not believe in decriminalizing border crossings, and I've not done that as Vice President. I will not do that as President.
So these are evolutions that you've had.
No, but let's be...
Also, by the way, first of all, crossing the border illegally is not the same act as being a criminal, okay? This is kind of important. So this is a trick that Stephen Miller used. So he's referencing these are criminals crossing the border. This is where Trump does this criminal thing. And the idea is that since it's illegal, if you do something illegal, you're a criminal. Okay. If you do something at the time that appears illegal, for example, like you are, if somebody is, here's your hypothetical. Somebody is being chased by the cartels in Mexico, and they are riding a motorcycle. And there's an area of the border that is open because it's native land or it's privately owned land or something like that. And you're riding along the road, and you know they can't follow you, and you cross into the United States to save your own life. Technically, you are an undocumented border crossing. That part of it is illegal. But compared to the cost of your life, in the measure of the law, you are simply saving your own life in that process. And that's where the asylum stuff, that's the area of law it kind of sits in. Okay? And if there's an acute version of it, for example, like I just gave, that specific point, yeah, you got a speeding ticket, you're a criminal. Yeah, exactly. That's not how any of our shit works. Because Trump is a felon. But all these people are going to argue that those laws don't matter because he was just doing what he needed to do, and he should be allowed to do it, and he's rich, and they're just picking on him. The same thing could be true of how Republicans are responding to genuine asylum seekers, like the guy on the motorcycle I'm telling you about, who crosses over the border, who technically does something illegal, but not criminal. Trespassing is technically illegal, but if you run across somebody's yard to knock on the door because you're being chased, you are trying to save your own life. There are special rules around that. That means technically you're doing something illegal by the finest letter of the law, but you're not criminal. Does that make sense? You're also not a criminal until your case is adjudicated. And that's the other thing. We don't know even if you qualify as somebody who crossed illegally or not until your case is adjudicated, which is exactly why you need a border bill like we had.
Be very clear. I'm the only person who's running for president who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations, from the Sinaloa cartel to the Guadalajara cartel to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a...
Hey, man, whoops, why is that not working? That's weird. Hold on. Hey, there I am. Fuck, thank God. Look, I was down there on the border. I was in Baja. I saw this stuff coming. And I was like, I tried to warn these guys. I was like, hey, don't cross over. The dragon lady is there. And nobody goddamn listened. So what am I supposed to do? Shit. It's your own goddamn problem.
Significant part of my career going after people who present a threat to the safety of the American people and cross our border with the intent of doing us harm. And
also, can I just say for the record, this is annoying and he's full of shit. But as president of the United States, you should be able to deal with people who are annoying and full of shit and speak to them seriously about this stuff. It's okay. And she's going to be fine. She's doing this. She's doing just fine. For the record.
Cross our border illegally, and I will do that work as vice president. I take that work quite seriously.
This is a time when voters, especially here in Pennsylvania, are inundated with commercials and ads. They just want it to stop because it's every commercial. But many...
Do they? Do they, Brett? They just want it to stop, do they? They want to. What do they want to do, dude? When they're watching Fox, go back to watching pre-lubed catheter ads? Fuck are you talking about? Nobody likes commercials no matter what they're about.
Many of them add noise, but a few of them seem to break through. This particular one from the Trump campaign.
Jesus Christ. You're not going to... He really does this? He plays a fucking Trump ad in the middle of this shit?
Has gotten a lot of attention.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
All right. Well, I thought they were going to go after something that required some depth of thought. Can I just say for the record, and please remove all your actual caring about trans issues. Set it aside for just 1 second so I can speak freely as these assholes do. Do you actually fucking think that Republicans care if a criminal gets their dick cut off? Believe me. They're fucking for it forcibly, much less voluntarily.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Right. Because it's a medical condition. Yeah. And so is this going to be, where do you think he's going to go? Is it going to be, I haven't pre-watched this, I don't know. And by the way, her response to it was much deeper, and it had to do with a lot of people who are in jail for things. They're trans, and they were arrested while they're on hormones, arrested while they're in process of going through their transition. And so you don't get to arrest somebody in the middle of it and arrest their transition at the same time, especially if it could permanently damage them. That's a dumb idea. It's gross. Now, granted, they don't give a fuck what's gross, but what they're thinking is, now all these trans people are going to commit crimes so they can get free sex changes. That's where he's going with this. And that the taxpayer, this is going to force good Christians to perform, pay for bottom surgery for sickos. That's what they're selling here.
So are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law. And it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed. You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report, that under Donald Trump's administration, these surgeries were available on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no...
He never advocated for it. He just let it go by without talking about it.
Gender transition surgeries
you know what? You got to take responsible for what happened in your administration.
Yeah, no surgeries happened in his presidency.
It's in black and white.
Would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassessment surgeries?
I will follow the law, just as I think Donald Trump would say he did.
You would have a say as president.
Like I said, I think he spent $20 million on those ads, trying to create a sense of fear in the voters because he actually has no plan in this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people. Whereas, at $20 million on that ad, on an issue that, as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people, it's really quite remote. And again, his policy was no different. Look at where we are, though.
They say
on plans for the American people, I'm off.
They say it was different. Doesn't matter what they say, dumb fuck. That's what reporting is about. Was it different? No. Had someone in the federal system said they needed to transition or to continue a transition while in federal prison, would they have gotten that care? Yes. So shut the fuck up.
Offering a plan to deal with affordable housing. I'm offering a plan to deal with what we need to do to strengthen small businesses, which are the backbone of America's economy. I am offering a plan that is about taking care of young parents and giving them the support they need. My plans for the economy will strengthen the economy, as have been reviewed by 16 Nobel laureates, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, and recently the Wall Street Journal, which have all studied our plans and have indicated my plans for our economy would strengthen our economy, his would make them weaker, would ignite inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. Those are the facts.
Why do you think more people say they trust him on the economy than they trust you?
I think that when you look...
Well, by the way, increasingly, they don't. Let's just put that aside. And that should be your quicker. Increasingly, they don't. As they look at my plan and they look at his plan, increasingly people are coming my way. Tu can play at his fucking the polls are great game, and she would at least be telling the fucking truth.
Look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as President of the United States. It has been clear to those who study and understand how economic policy works that moving forward, because I do believe the American people are ready to turn the page on the divisiveness and the type of rhetoric that has come out of Donald Trump. People are ready to chart a new way forward, and they want a president who has a plan for the future and a plan that is sound and will strengthen our country. My plan for the economy does exactly that. His plan...
By the way, real quick, I'm just curious. Did Brett Baer choose this room because it has a ramp in it to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't walk into the room? There's a big ramp in the background. Are they just trying to keep him out? They figure like stairs might be a temptation for him if there's, if there's fewer than 6.
Plan would be again to give tax cuts to billionaires and the biggest corporations in our country and blow up our deficit.
It's interesting you said.
Also, by the way, excuse me, how many of those billionaires are going to use their tax cut money, which is blowing a hole in our deficit, to transition? Why are we giving tax cuts to billionaires who want to lop off their wingy dings? What in the world? Right? Tu can play at this fucking game. Why not? Right?
To turn the page, Madam Vice President, you were asked on 2 different shows last week what, if anything, you would do differently than President Biden. Here's what you said.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I know.
And so that would be one change in terms of, but also I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
So you're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency.
It's called continuity, you dumb motherfucker. Have you seen the stock market? So, if I loan you this car, which is running great, if you get to move from the passenger seat, from shotgun to the driver's seat, at what point would you throw it in reverse just for the fuck of it?
Will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes in to office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership. I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C. I invite ideas, whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing, addressing the issue of small businesses, which is about working with the private sector to...
And listen, look at him. I would like to look at him right now. Look at his questions. He's like brandishing them like a fucking cross. He's like, I got this question. I got paper. Lady, Don't you keep talking. I'm gonna read some off here if you're not careful. Look,
bring more capital and
seriously, it's like a shield.
Access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and for small businesses, extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days. Your campaign.
Yeah. And what, are you tired of them now, Brett? When you were complaining a month ago she didn't have any plans, and now you're just, oh my God, knock it off with the plans, lady. Like, she doesn't do any interviews. Oh my God, she's sitting right here.
And slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years, so what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we have been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
Madam Vice President, more than 70% of people
that is
tell
about turning the
pollsters-
page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
More than
People
70%
are
of people
exhausted.
tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the
Right, asshole. Yeah, and the ACA was unpopular by 60%. You know why? Because 30% of people didn't want it at all, and 30% of people thought it should have a public option or be Medicare for all. It should go further, you dumb motherfucker. The reason 79% of people think the country's on the wrong track is because Donald Trump is basically tied in swing states, because the Republican Party can't shake this motherfucker. That's why it's 79%. Do you think hey asshole, do you think those 79% agree on everything else? Do you know why that number is so fucking big? Because it includes Republicans who are out of power and think Donald Trump won the last fucking election, and Democrats who are like, this motherfucker again? That's why it's 79%. Find me another issue, Brett, that they agree on 79%. You want one? I'll give you one. You want one? Fucking background checks. Yeah. And I got news for you. It won't include about 30% of these motherfuckers, but it'll add this 21%. This right direction crowd, which I'm in, will be included in the the half of this, and be the same fucking number. Will it be the same people? No, because that's how percentages work. You tool.
The country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden.
All right, asshole. Really? Oh my God. Yeah.
Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office.
Because half of them are scared because Donald Trump's around and is going to turn the country into his own little fiefdom.
For 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam Vice President.
You and I both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade, people have become. But listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, the former chief of staff to the president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president, one, that he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable, that he is
and he's neck and neck in the polls in some, which he's not. But that's another thing too. There's a lot of poll jacking going on. Just for the record, if you want closer to real numbers, look at the Senate numbers, and you'll be very happy, because they are much more in line with how people are actually fucking voting, because Trump isn't paying for poll jacking for Republicans, he's only paying for it for himself. So the numbers, that's why they're askew, right? That's why there's an 8-point jump ahead for the Democratic Senate race in a state, and they're allegedly tied. And she's ahead by 2 points. I'm just saying, instead of 8. That's really what's going on. So, again, he knows this. The issue again, 79% when you're talking about these people, half of them are like, this fucking guy?
Dangerous, and that people are exhausted with someone who professes to be a leader who spends full time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances and it being about him instead of the American people. People are tired of that.
If that's the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of swing states? Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
it's not supposed to be. It is not supposed to be a cakewalk for anyone.
So are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
are they stupid?
Yes.
What is it? I would never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and
an edited town hall where all the questions were prearranged through a Republican women's group, and the other attendees were not told. And that Fox edited some of their introductions so it wouldn't be so obvious that they were in the tank. They softened the blow so they would seem more normal, when in reality, they were fucking borderline QAnon. Half of them talk like fucking Roseanne when you see the full fucking intro.
This is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
all right, again, I've seen this clip, so have you. This is some bullshit. From Fox. This is just lazy, and she knows it. Look at her. She's like, really? Brett,
I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just...
That's the other thing, too, is he was asked about that, and then you guys cut off the rest of his fucking answer. And it was still like, these guys are dangerous, or whatever. Okay, hold on real quick. There was a... let's see, I think I put it in my X feed earlier. Boy, is this not the greatest live stream in the history of live streams, though, by the way, for the record. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Hal Sparks, Mega Worldwide. Yeah, here it is. This is, if I may, bring this over here. Brett, here's the clip, dumb fuck.
Let's remember, you've got 50,000 Chinese nationals in this country in the last couple of years. Yeah. You have people on the terrorist watch list, 350 in the last couple of years. You got...
By the way, caught. Wouldn't you want them caught? And by the way, they're not on the terrorist watch list. They're on countries that are on the terrorist watch list, which is, again, like Yazidis and fucking Coptic Christians fleeing Muslim countries that Trump decided should be under his Muslim ban. The Christians that would get out, who want to survive, that allegedly would be welcome here, those people are on those countries' terrorist watch list. So just, she's talking about Coptic Christians right now, just for the record.
Like you said, 13,000 murderers and 15,000 rapists. Right. What are you expecting?
Most of which he knows personally.
Joe Biden said he doesn't think it's going to be a peaceful election day.
Well, he doesn't have any idea what's happening in all fairness. He spends most of his day sleeping. I think
that, by the way, you know how we always say that everything with Trump is projection? This is just jealousy. I'm just saying.
the bigger problem is the enemy from within, not even the people that have come in and destroying our country. By the way, totally destroying our country.
By the way, for the record, I don't know if you've been outside lately. The country is not destroyed. I don't know if you've been to a sporting event lately or a fucking mall. I was in a mall in Kansas City, and I was like, when did people start going to the mall again? It was like a scene from Stranger Things. I was like, these people are shopping. What the shit is going on?
Towns and villages, they're being inundated. But I don't think they're the problem.
Yes, Hobbitons.
In terms of election day, I think the bigger problem are the people from within. We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by, if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military, because they can't let that happen.
Let's.
All right, there it is. There it is. That is the direct threat. Brett Baer, you fucking asshole. That's what she's talking about. That's what everybody else is talking about. So, fuck you, buddy.
Let's remember, you've got...
Oh, hold on. That's a terrible voice.
Showed in all fairness and respect to you.
That was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that.
That was the question that we asked him when we were helping him clean up his mess. Yeah. I don't know what you're saying about this whole dirty diaper leaking shit out of his pants legs. After Harris Faulkner hosed him down temporarily and we put a fresh nappy on him, he was fine for at least 3 minutes.
And here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times. And you and I both know that. And you and I both know.
See how he also froze when he was not expecting her to call him out on it.
That he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the President of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat.
Yes.
To the United States of America.
And how?
He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way, yes. Let me ask you this, Madam Vice President.
I love that. He's quoted in, they say he says something, but that whatever. Hey, asshole, how about you just address what she fucking called you out on and the cover you're doing, you prick.
You call Donald Trump.
The significance
you
of that.
call Donald Trump. He's misguided. You say now.
Oh my God. Oh dear. Is he okay? You've called him misguided? Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is. It's the miss part, isn't it? Too feminine. A little close to home. That's Mr. Guided to you.
He's unstable. He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable?
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many...
Like, you've said this about her. I'm saying it right now, dumb fuck. I love her. And I'm just saying, Doug, you better not screw up or some of us are going to swoop right in with flowers.
Interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
There were no concerns raised?
Brett, Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump
but
is.
You talked about it.
And Donald Trump
is. Actor George Clooney said within a few minutes of talking.
Actor George Clooney. All right, look. I would like to say officially now, as actor Hal Sparks, Fox News has to take seriously everything I say. Because I will put my acting up against George Clooney's any day. Is he handsome? Sure, but we're both from Kentucky, and apparently there's something in the water. Hello there. I could be a silver fox, but I'd look like the Witcher.
And President Biden at a fundraiser that he,
which might not be a bad thing. I don't know. We'll see.
Thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at.
Also, wait a second. George Clooney did an event at night with Joe Biden after he had been back and forth to Europe dealing with negotiations 5 fucking times in 3 weeks. George Clooney gets at least 10 months off between movies.
At least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any.
I'm the Twitcher. That'd be good, right?
Any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why the people who know him best,
nicely done,
including leaders of our national security community, have all spoken out. Even people who worked for him in the Oval Office, worked with him in the Situation Room, and have said he is unfit and dangerous and should never be president of the United States again.
By the way, they're saying he was unfit and dangerous. Then he was 4 fucking years ago, he was unfit and dangerous. Now he's unfit, dangerous, and loopy. The dude is fucking drunk most of the time. He's on painkillers and booze. I'll stake my reputation on it.
Including his former vice president.
I know. What reputation? You're welcome.
Which is why the job was open for him to choose another running mate. So that is a fact.
Yeah. Where's my page about why Mike Pence left? I don't know that I have one of those. What? Wait a minute. He's got a different running mate? According to my notes, everything is perfect.
Fact. That is a fact.
Madam Vice President, 2 more things. You were asked on 60 Minutes about the biggest threat.
Also, this, whatever this is, once she's in office, here's what I would say. In 12 years, I want Doug to do a sit down as we've had another peaceful transfer of power from her administration to, I don't know, Newsom or whoever it is. And Gretchen Whitmer, whoever, and have Doug go, oh, when she does this, yeah, oh shit, right? It's like if I could pull my earrings off. Don't fuck with me right now, man. These are clip-ons.
That the world faces, that the U.S. faces. This is what you said.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands, okay? This attack on Israel, 200 ballistic missiles. What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
A number of experts thought you would say China. The FBI.
Well, here's the problem, Brett. If I may, ladies and gentlemen, scooch close, see if you think you know where I'm going with this. But if the next president of the United States declares that China is our biggest enemy in the world, what does that do for Trump's Bible sales? Obviously, one of the things that you can do in China right now that you can't do in Iran is, I don't know, get Bibles printed for one. You think there's a difference? You think there's a hinged versus unhinged, safe versus not safe, long-term versus short-term threat? You stupid motherfucker.
FBI director had said that. But you said Iran. If that's the case, what do you say to critics who look at the actions of your administration and say you're not acting like Iran is the #1 threat?
Well, I will tell you.
What? Wait a minute. What the fuck does acting like Iran's our biggest threat look like? If you're worried, God damn it. If you're worried that a country is a terrorist regime, then one of the things you don't let them do is terrorize you, so they don't go, hey guys, it's working. More of that.
You most recently, whether it was in April or in October, and then several hours on each occasion that Iran posed a threat to Israel. I was there, most recently in the Situation Room, in the most recent attack, working with the heads of our military and doing what America must always do to defend and to support Israel in its requirement to defend itself, and to give American support to be able to allow Israel to have the resources to defend itself against attack, including from Iran and Iran's terrorist proxies in the region.
Right.
And that
but those
is,
proxies were getting funded
my
by
commitment
Iran.
to that.
But those proxies are being funded by Iran. Yeah, right, motherfucker. That's why she thinks it's the primary threat. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm going to be okay. Whew. She's a very patient woman. I give her points. Now, if I was in the same situation, I'd be, quite frankly, just as calm and probably slightly funnier, but not as informed because I need a skiff. That's all I'm saying. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. It's Hal Sparks, Megaworldwide.
Is unyielding and
help me buy a skiff. No. Okay.
Unwavering.
Critics just say that you either relaxed or failed to enforce sanctions on Iran, allowing all of this money to flow into Iran, like billions.
What? Okay.
Let's go back to Donald
profits.
Trump, who pulled out of a deal that would have actually put Iran in check.
The estimates
and then
in billions.
It was during Donald Trump's
that
administration
go towards
that
the Iran regime.
That we had an American military base that was attacked.
By the way, 2021, 37, 54, 53, 51. Apparently it spiked in 2022 and has been going down. Is that is there something, am I missing something? Is there a reason for the order? Believe me, I love the primary colored barrels. Adorable. And if you didn't put oil on the side of them, I would think it was mustard, ketchup, and Smurf. Pretty sure that's Smurf. That's pureed Smurf, which is, by the way, tastes like apples. Anyways.
Where American soldiers suffered traumatic brain injuries and Donald Trump dismissed them as headaches, not... Still does. To mention how Donald Trump has
all of this money
has treated and talked about America's military and military service people, calling them suckers and losers,
Hamas,
has diminished the significance.
We're talking over each other. I apologize.
Well, I would like that we would have a conversation that is grounded in full assessment of the facts, which includes, I think this interview is supposed to be about the choices that your viewers should be presented about this election, and the contrast is important.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the subject of Iran, I am...
Hey, Brett, don't fucking go, I'm getting the fucking hook. You pussy. Don't fucking try to talk over her. Believe me, they want her to finish. If they want to cut it off, they'll do it while you're talking, you fucking dweeb.
I'm offering what should be an important contrast that is presented for folks to make a decision
and there are critics
that they feel...
who look at what the administration did and say and think differently. Madam Vice President, they're
Trump sold oil to Iran. Where do you think the $6 billion that was in the, Trump allowed Iran to sell to South Korea? Where do you think the money that we were going to give back to Iran in exchange for the hostages, which we never did, by the way? We never gave it to them. That money never went anywhere. We got our hostages for $6 billion, and then the $6 billion stayed put. Just saying. It has not moved. Brett Baer definitely knows this. Just saying. Wait, and by the way, it's a different time of the day. Sometimes we get another flock of maggots in here. I don't know if we have any in here. Do we have any maggots or trolls that don't know that? That don't know that the $6 billion that was supposed to be exchanged for the hostages that we got back from Iran, we got them back. That we got them back. We got our hostages. They're back at home in America. In exchange for that $6 billion, and that Iran never got that $6 billion. Do they know that? Do they know? Because they should. Huh? You should know that. You should know the $6 billion for the hostages never left the bank. It's still in a South Korean bank. Now, how did it get there? That's the other question. How in the world did this money, $6 billion, where the fuck did it come from? I know that you had Glenn Beck, and you had fucking Tucker Carlson and I guess Rusty Trombone and all these assholes telling you, Greg Kelly telling you that was America. We paid $6 billion American taxpayer money to get those hostages back. Well, first of all, we didn't pay it in the first place. And secondly, it was not American taxpayer money. It was money South Korea owed to Iran for oil that Iran was allowed to sell them during the Trump administration. And then when the news got out that Trump was allowing them, he was lifting sanctions on Iran to benefit Russia's relationship with them, I might add, he put the sanctions back on, and that froze that money in a fucking account. And by the way, what I'm saying isn't up for argument. What I'm saying isn't a question at all. There's no, but maybe, that's exactly what happened. Don't you feel better for knowing now? You should. I feel, now, if I could only find some way to tell this to Brett Baer. All right.
Tapping me very hard here. I hope you got to say what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things.
There's more to say. I have much more to say.
There are a lot of things that people want to learn about you and your policies, and that's why.
That's why I wanted to be here, to tell them what your policies are, and then waste a lot of time so that you would have to, hopefully get defensive about my version of reality and never get around to actually what your policies were. And then those couple of times when you actually did, and you started telling me what you were going to do, and how you were going to raise the number of houses in the country and lower the cost of borrowing, and how you were going to give a child tax credit and educate, all the shit you want to pay for and work on and stuff that won't necessarily cost a ton, but will have a big benefit on the other side of it. I talk over that part so that you can't get it out, so you can't get your little snippet.
Invite everyone to go to KamalaHarris.com, and you will see that I have 80 pages of policies that are quite comprehensive and should be accessible to anyone who would like to read them. And it includes what I intend to do about affordable housing, what I intend to do.
Brett, shut your fucking mouth, man. Shut your mouth, man. Let her finish her thought. Don't break in when... Look at him. He wants to step on it. It's like, and I bet he did, if he got any marching orders at Fox at all, it was step on every moment. That was it. Didn't work, but
about small businesses, what I do,
and that's why we invited you here to see where you were in 2019 and where you are now.
America's military, and ensure we have the most lethal and best fighting force in the world.
Madam Vice President, and they're giving me a hard rap here.
Well, I thank you for the time.
I thank you for the time.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. They wouldn't let me do it because I would come off as an even bigger douche. And most people think I look like a thumb that used to be in our gang and aged out of kids' movies, but still has the same kind of general demeanor. All right. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching that part of it. If I may, let me go back to here, chat room. It's just the two of us. It's like I'm on early, and it's 20. Yeah, we got almost 3K in here already because it's the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. Don't forget Hal Sparks podcast, Mega Worldwide. Subscribe today. If you've already subscribed, maybe you could give me a little review, something like that. A couple of stars. I don't know. 3 at least, I guess. 5. Just do the 5. It's fine. All right. Now, I don't have time for that one. Don't have time for that one. Do have time. Let's see. Let's grab, if we could. I'm going to grab a. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you about the Smurf stuff. Okay. Trump, yeah, there's so much stuff. Okay, so I got the Univision. We could start that. And I might have to break this in the middle. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. I'm going to stay on till a little before 3. I got about an hour. And then I'm going to take a break, and I'll be back on at 4 o'clock, my regular time, off that way. There's no stars here, Hal? You're all stars to me. It's like as Paul Stanley always says, as far as I'm concerned, there's 4 stars. All right, now, here we go. Let's go to Univision, ladies and gentlemen. And don't forget, while you're at it, there's the Venmo. If you want to take a picture of that with your phone, or if you've done it before or whatever, you can support the show that way. If you don't want to get into all the complicated internet stuff and you happen to use Venmo, that's one of the ways you can do it. You just point your phone at that, and then you can give me a cup of coffee. Something like that. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. And of course, subscribing helps the most, and it's free. Unless you're on Twitch, in which case it costs money to subscribe. But if you have Amazon Prime, it doesn't cost you a dime. And there are 9 million people watching right now. And those are just the front row Joes. And I apologize to everybody that the internet is currently full. But I don't know what to tell you. The show is that popular. This is singularly the greatest live stream in the history of the internet. And look, I wish I could say something different, but I try not to fly in the face of public opinion. Yeah. So, we'll get to the gun stuff, yeah, later as well. And also, again, today's stream is dedicated to the healthy recovery of Jake E. Lee, who is awesome. Okay, now, this is the town hall. Latinos ask, Donald Trump responds. I will say, Univision, they're playing it tight.
Welcome everyone to this historic night where Latinos, the voters elected by an independent company and convened by Univision News, will be able to ask the Republican candidate to the presidency, Donald J. Trump, in this.
But by the way, when they'll do, there's a lot of translation in this. Just to, for those of you that I'm cool with it, but I prefer subtitles a lot of times. But because the double talk is always weird, I feel like they should, really lower one voice or the other. A lot of times they almost keep them close to the same volume. It's a bit peculiar. But needless to say, I love the fact that Trump nods like he understands what the fuck is going on.
Again, historic encounter.
She's been here for, the first time she voted was 16 years ago when she became an American citizen. Diana, tu pregunta, bienvenida, buenas noches.
Señor Presidente Trump, buenas noches. El alto...
By the way, in future, Trump will talk about some of the questions he was asked, and everyone that you hear speak at this event will talk like this. No, we know, like, oh, we have quick trial. Oh, like they'll all talk like an Indian in a fucking 1940s cowboy TV show.
El alto costo de la vida está muy alto.
Good evening, Mr. President. The cost of living is very high.
Antes una familia como la mía comprábamos $200 a la semana en comida. Ahora está en 350 y sigue subiendo.
Well, it's going to be a lot cheaper when you're rounded up and sent back to Acapulco. I hear it's very nice. Maybe you could catch a ride with Cancun Cruise. I don't know. He sometimes will go through there. Yes, Osbjorn is true.
A family like mine used to spend $200 approximately weekly for groceries. Nowadays, we're spending over $350, and that's increasing.
¿Qué piensa cambiar para mejorar la economía del país, especialmente para personas como yo?
What are you planning to change to improve the economy of this country, especially
It's going to be about energy and drill, baby, drill.
for people like myself?
Oh, he's not doing any of this for people like yourself. I'm just saying, lady.
Well, thank you very much. Look, this is a problem called.
Sorry, I don't know why the fuck he looks like a televangelist who's about to break into song. Well, you know, I like to hold the mic like this because it gives me a more effete, well-bred feel. But Jesus came down the mountain and brought me back to heaven, and I hope you can find your way. Oh, drop kick me, Jesus, through the goalposts of life. I said, drop kick me, Jesus, through the goalposts of life. Don't you drop kick me, Jesus, through the goalposts of life. Kick away, Lord, kick away. Sorry. Maybe you're right. Maybe I am funnier when I'm sleepy.
Caused by this administration.
I had 3 hours of sleep last night and 45 minutes on a plane.
4 years ago, you had no inflation. Now you have...
Yes, we had collapsing deflation. We had an economy in the shitter. Oil was negative $36 a barrel because no one needed it, because no one was going anywhere.
Record-setting inflation. What they've done to this country is incredible in so many different ways.
By the way, he keeps saying incredible. It sounds good, though, because I agree. What the Biden-Harris administration has done with this country is incredible. Like, there's no guarantee we would have recovered from fucking COVID. There's a bunch of other countries that didn't. China's in deep shit right now. Russia's run by a fucking inbred lunatic, and their economy's failing on top of just beyond our sanctions. They're heading towards a demographic fucking cliff.
Incredibly bad. We have...
He clarifies, incredibly bad, just to make sure.
People complaining about groceries, about prices, about rent, about everything.
I just love how he thinks like groceries is a colloquialism. You know what I mean? Like, who says groceries? You know what I mean? Because he's never shopped for anything.
Interest rates went from 2% to 10%, and you can't get the money.
By the way, they're not 10%, and you can, unless you've got 6 bankruptcies, 30 plus a bunch on the way, felony convictions, and everybody's seen your books. Look, I don't care what the interest rate is. This motherfucker can't get the money anymore. You know, the other reason why it's 10% you can't get the money is because Russia's not backfilling Deutsche Bank like they used to.
You want to buy a house. You can't buy a house anymore. You can't do anything. But
That's right. You can't do anything. Just freeze. Freeze. Don't move. You can't. Hey, I don't want you to think. Thank you, Bjorn. You can't do anything. It's terrible. You can't go outside or you burst into flames. There's zombies everywhere. All the squirrels have turned evil.
Biggest thing I hear about is just what you said, groceries, the food. So we didn't have inflation. We had a great situation for everything, for virtually everything.
The last year which kind of caused all the stuff that happened after it that we're getting out of now.
When they came in, they spent and they also blew my energy policies up. So we had inexpensive energy.
Hold on. They blew up his energy policy. By the way, energy production didn't dip in any way because of Biden-Harris policies. It dipped because the entire world economy had shut down and there were literally boats adrift full of oil with nowhere to go for months on fucking end. And then they all start coming to the United States because we were the only ones spending because of Democrats like force feeding the economy again to make sure it didn't collapse. And again, $9 trillion in stimulus, but you can't plug a $20 trillion hole with $9 trillion. That's why all the Fed's normal attempts to lower inflation didn't fucking work, because we were the expense was supply shock.
Energy. Now you have the most expensive thing on the list is energy. That is such a big category that it leads to everything. Everything else follows. Everything follows energy. We have.
Everything follows energy. Okay, then why did things get more expensive over the course of your presidency and the production of oil went up at the same time as well? Right? He wants to brag that he increased oil production every year while he was in office, which he didn't do, but we'll talk about that later. And he wants to say that the prices, everything they had medium inflation is what he's saying. It averages out at 1.9 because of the crater that was created by COVID, but it was closer to 2.6 the entire time he was in office, especially the second and third year when his policies actually came in, right? And this stuff creeped up like it does. It just goes that way. That's because we got that kind of economy. It just kind of there's constant growth, constant expansion, a little bit, and they try to keep it in that sweet spot, but that's what it does. So if he was producing all this oil and they had so much oil and it was just we were flush with it because of his policies, then why did prices only crash because of COVID?
We have more liquid gold under our feet than anybody else. There's no other country.
Also, this asshole found out when he was president that Saudi Arabia is basically cash poor and ran out of oil a long time ago. And Russia has a ton of oil, but it's all up in the fucking permafrost. And they don't have any structure to get it out of the ground without us. The only reason you can say we have more than Russia is because Russia can't get to what they have because they need Western technology to do that, and they fucked around in Ukraine and found out.
Country that has liquid gold like we do. That's oil and gas. We're going to bring your energy costs down, and with your energy costs, everything is going to come down. We're going to also make jobs available so you can afford, literally, much easier. We're going to have many more jobs than we have right now.
Oh, yeah? What would those jobs be in? Just jobbing? Hey, man, I'm going jobbing. What are these? Do you think that people are fucking Lego characters that they just go and like click, 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 click? I go to the click factory. I'm just going to build I'm at the build-a-wall factory. We need walls and wheels. Everything is awesome.
We set a record. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country.
No, he did not. This is just cartoonishly stupid. No, he didn't.
Now we have a lousy economy.
No, we don't. Our economy is rock fucking solid, especially compared to the rest of the world after a giant pandemic.
Primarily because of inflation. So we're going to get rid of the inflation. We're going to.
But inflation is worldwide.
Drill, baby, drill. I'm going to get your energy costs down by 50%, 50% over the course of 12 months, which will be easy to do.
Yeah, it's going to be easy to do. Why? Why does he think it's going to be easy to do? What's he going to implement as far as drilling and exploration that will raise the production of oil in the United States in a year? Open up Anwar. I got news for you. You wouldn't even be pumping oil out of that. That would be oil futures 2 years down the line, even if he got it, and he won't. Here's what I'll show you. Whoops. This is why he keeps talking about this. There's already enough production, and demand is shrinking. Demand is diminishing super fucking fast. And like, there's a disagreement about whether it's 3 years away or next year, but a bunch of folks are like, nope, because of China, next fucking year. Then here's the other one. This is fucking, look at the Financial Times. World faces staggering oil glut by end of decade. Energy watchdog warns. Sorry, what? Oil glut? You do realize you can just leave it in the ground, right? God damn, these people are stupid.
Because we have more energy than Saudi Arabia. We have more energy than Russia, anybody. We were energy independent.
Imagine if we used the sunshine that hits our land every day and the wind that passes through large portions of it in a predictable fashion, or perhaps even the geothermal possibilities of damming rivers and geothermal heating and housing and the like. Imagine the efficiency that goes up when people get almost entirely off the grid and can have battery systems in their homes that store enough power off their daily pull from renewables to run their house for multiple days.
Just 4 years ago, and now look at us. So energy is going to bring it down, and the spending is going to bring it down. We're going to cut a lot of waste and abuse that won't affect anybody other than our bottom line as a country. And
what? We're going to cut waste and abuse that isn't going to affect anybody except our bottom line as a country. Sorry, you think cutting the deficit will affect grocery prices? How's that work? Exactly. In a year.
And you're going to be in great shape. You just hang in there. We're going to bring those costs way down.
Thank you.
We're going to bring those costs way down. I'm done. I didn't say it right. I was going to say something else, but I forgot what it was. Drill, baby, drill.
Thank you, President Trump. Thank you, Diana. Muchas gracias.
I gotta say, he looks stiff as a board, and I think it's all the accents in the room. Honest to God, I think like when there's people around and they're talking like this, he's like, oh God, oh. Okay, so I have a friend, dear friend, and I won't embarrass him by saying his name, Chris Bono, but Chris had never been out of the country. And I remember very distinctly a moment we had, because I'm what you would call, ladies and gentlemen, chat room, I'm what you would call an adventurous traveler. After being a road comic since I was fucking 15 years old, I'm good. Pretty much anywhere you drop me, I can entertain myself, feed myself, get my, my shelter, get my needs met on a basic level, and not really worry too much almost anywhere. And I can learn, and I know my P's and Q's in a bunch of languages. So anytime I go someplace, I learn my P's and Q's, my, please and thank you, where's the bathroom, what time is it, what time are you open, what time do you close, those kind of phrases, right? And so Chris had never been out of the country. And Chris is like a nice version of Donald Trump in some ways. Like, but he grew up, working class. So he's got this kind of like working class panic. And we went to, I took him to Thailand with me because I could get a free extra flight at the time. They were like running this thing, like buy a flight to fucking Thailand and you get a companion flight. And I was like, come with me. You've never been out of the country. Let's go. Retrospect, I probably should have taken him to Canada first. But we go to Thailand and he had a moment where we're in a street market and I am eating, I've got sticks of food. I have scorpions in one hand and squid eggs in the other. And I'm like, this place is great. And I look over and Chris is a sweaty mess who's having a panic attack. And I realized that he does not have the fun-loving comfort level that I have in these situations. He would soon have it. He acclimated very well over a couple days. But the first couple days there, this was super alien, super fucking quick. And everybody's around you. Nobody speaks English for the most part. And you're just, you know, I've got a fucking phrase book with me. I'll make it. You know, I'm cool. And, hell, I was eating. Simmer. So anyways, I look over him and he's basically on the verge of a panic attack. Because he's like, if I don't know what I'm going to eat, and I don't know what they have here, and I'm going to have a heart attack, I'm going to die, and no one speaks the language, and Hal's going to be having fun down the street like a block away, and he's going to lose me. You just tell, right? And again, he eased into it eventually. But I'm here to tell you that Donald Trump has this as a pathological problem. Just letting you know. You know, to Donald Trump. Hold on, let me make this transition. Override none. Let's go to. I'm gonna try that because it seems to be weird. So I'm gonna try and fix that. All right. Anyways, so Trump clearly has that issue. I'm calling it.
President Trump, as you know,
thank you.
Farming is one of the most demanding jobs, and farmers like.
Yeah, he knows. You don't have to tell him. He was born with a hayseed in his mouth. He the most comfortable seat in the world is the edge of a tractor wheel. You know, he once was involved in a game of tractor chicken while holding out for a hero plate, or was that Kevin Bacon? I always get them mixed up.
Like Jorge Velasquez over here, work hard to put food on the table of American families. He has a question for you. Jorge Velasquez es agricultor y tiene una pregunta.
Good hair, yeah, by the way. Nice hair. Look at that.
Nice hair. Look at that. It's, you know, it's because he can build bridges.
Buenas noches, señor presidente Trump. He trabajado toda mi vida con estas manos, agachado por horas, piscando fresa, cortando brócoli.
Can I just say that one of my favorite things about this event is that somewhere Stephen Miller is watching this because he has to, and every time someone speaks Spanish, a little part of him dies.
Good evening, President Trump. For many years, I have worked with these hands, hunched over, picking strawberries and cutting broccoli.
Chopping broccoli, what I love that this guy gets the voice of Mr. Han from Enter the Dragon as his translator. Gentlemen, O'Hara's treachery has disgraced us.
Este duro trabajo es realizado en su mayoría por gente indocumentada.
This tough job is mainly done by undocumented people.
Right. Dude is just full on admitting to a crime. So I have a farm. I lived here for a long time. Most of my workers don't have a green card and are here illegally. Anyways, what?
Si usted deporta a esta gente, ¿quién haría ese trabajo y qué precio pagaríamos por la comida?
If you deport these people, who would do that job and what price would we pay for food?
Please. Finished, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, he's finished.
So the problem we have is we had people coming in under my administration, and they were coming in legally. They were coming in through a system that we had, which was great. Because
yeah, he's not talking about those people, stupid.
Because I'm the best thing that ever happened to farmers. You know that.
I gave farmers billions of dollars. So you're going to tell this guy who probably came here illegally and then eventually either worked out some sort of a deal or got asylum or citizenship or permanent resident status or something, and then has been running a farm, mostly employing illegal labor, that you're his biggest fan.
It's great. You know, farmers are doing very badly right now, very, very badly under this administration.
He is a farmer.
Under my administration.
Also, why? Why is this guy doing badly? Is it because the Biden administration is deporting more people than you did?
Farmers did very well. we have to have a lot of people come into our country. We just want them to come in legally through a system.
Oh, okay. So like an open border kind of work card situation, temporary work visas, that kind of stuff, seasonal work, shit that was in like the first Biden border bill and partly in the second one. That shit.
Because they've released hundreds of thousands of people that are murderers, drug dealers, terrorists. They're coming in.
Look at these folks. This motherfucker. This is when the arms start crossing, by the way. Most of the time there in the beginning, there's a little bit of this. And then by the end of it, this is not, in most Latino communities, apparently, this is the big, okay, what the fuck are you talking about? Body language. And like, I don't know what the fuck he's telling this guy for. Like, yeah, some of them are murders, but boy, can they pick strawberries. I don't know what the fuck to tell you.
Totally, nobody knows who they are, where they come from. And the people that are most against it are the Hispanic people. They are.
Maybe that guy knows some.
Are totally against it, what's happened.
Yeah, they're totally against it. I mean, if you guys just ask one, if you run into them on the, oh, motherfucker.
And the other thing I can say is that,
I mean, can you imagine, if you will, a presidential candidate talking to an entire room of black people and going, the blacks really love me. Oh, wait, he did at the black journalist gathering.
A lot of the jobs that you have and that other people have are being taken by these people that are coming in. And
hey, asshole. No, he said that's his farm. He's hiring those people. He's not hiring people who are citizens. What are you talking about? He just told you. He's worried you're going to deport his workforce, you tit.
And the African-American population and the Hispanic population in particular are losing jobs now because millions.
Sorry. It is your premise that Hispanic Americans are losing work picking strawberries on that man's farm to undocumented Hispanics who... Huh? What? Jesus.
Millions of people are coming in. So they're coming in, but they're also coming in largely, and tremendous numbers coming in out of mental institutions. They're emptying out mental institutions.
It's just like what would normally be muscle memory speech for him in front of a crowd. This is so fucking cringe. God damn. Shut up. Like most of the people who came into this country from other countries, they escaped mental institutions.
They're emptying out insane asylums. That's a step above a mental institution. Worse, bigger problems, bigger problem people.
Bigger problem people. That should be easy to translate. Sure.
They're emptying out jails. Their jails are being let into our country from Venezuela, but not just South America. From all over the world, they're being let in. From jails, from...
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Crazy. But let's just put that aside for a second. This guy wants to know how much groceries are going to cost if you kick all the people that pick the strawberries on his farm, his fucking farm, out of the country.
Nobody's ever seen anything like it. The jail population throughout the world has come way down, and it's all coming into the United States of America. So we want workers, and we want them to come in, but they have to come in legally. They have to love our country. They have to love you, love our people. The problem with this administration is
they have to love you? Can't they just be okay with me or like me a little bit? I just don't know if I'm ready for a commitment this early in the season.
They've totally lost control. It's the worst president and the worst vice president that we've ever had in this country. What they have done to our country in terms of hurting it. Our farmers, by the way, are dying. They haven't had any.
Thanks, CSL.
Anything so bad in 25 years. 4 years ago, our farmers, including you, were making a lot of money. They were doing great. Now they're absolutely dying. We're going to turn it around. But we want people to come in, but we don't want...
What? What do you... Dude, nothing has changed on this dude's farm at all.
Murderers. So it was just announced that last month by the Border Patrol that under Biden and Harris, they allowed 13,099 convicted murderers, people in jail, to come into our country. They released...
No. That's the number of people that are in the federal system right now that have been in there for a long fucking time. This isn't a new number. This is an accumulative number. And a good portion of which happened while he was president.
Released them from jail into our population. And nobody wants that. And that doesn't include the terrorists and all of the others, the gang members, MS-13 gang members, and other gang members.
Yeah, the other ones. I mean, I'm sure there are other ones.
You have to have people that are...
There's the Crips and the Bloods and the Jets. And what was Pinky Tuscadero's thing in Greece?
Great people come into our country. But we do want them in, and I want them in even more than you do. And we're going to make...
I want them in even more than you do. I gotta say, I'm gonna have to call bullshit on that one. I'm gonna double down on that. Yeah. Donald Trump does not want legal immigrants from South America to come in and pick strawberries more than this guy wants undocumented workers to come in and pick strawberries at a lower price.
Make it so that people can come into our country legally. Thank you. Good question. Thank you.
Gracias por la pregunta. Thank you, President Trump. Our next question.
Jesus Christ, that was... Oh, my God.
Comes from Daniel Perez. Daniel is the first member of his family to have a college degree. Now he's worried about finding the right job, one that is relevant to his area of study. Daniel Perez, el primero en graduarse de la universidad en su familia.
Also, it is not lost on me that when Donald Trump is meeting with people that he believes are by and large darker skinned than he is, that he cakes on an extra layer of orange, in fact, I don't know what that is, Cheeto diarrhea, his bronzer that he puts on an extra slather of it. You're not taking crazy pills. That's obviously what he does, and it's super fucking weird.
Platícanos de tu pregunta, Daniel.
Good evening, Mr. President. As a first-generation college graduate, I had to work multiple jobs while studying full-time. The reason that being is because my family could not provide financial assistance while I was attending college. The high cost of housing led me to sleep in my car while I was attending college in a rural area. Despite my degree, I'm currently working as a delivery driver. My question to you is, how do you plan to create real job opportunities for recent graduates like myself?
What is your degree in? Because we've got to know if it's a degree where that's even a possibility. Kind of helpful. I'm just saying. And it would help us get a ballpark started. But it sounds like one of the setup questions.
It's a great question, and a lot of
it's so good.
People ask that question because the job opportunities, the good ones, are not there under this administration.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. All the college degree holding workers in the country, the white collar folks, are all having their jobs taken by mentally ill South Americans and people from the Congo who don't speak a language anyone recognizes. All these recent college graduates losing their jobs to like cartel guys with neck tattoos. I got 9 spiders here for everybody that I killed that was under the age of 2. Like, such an asshole.
We are going to bring companies in through a system of taxes, positive, we call it positive taxation.
It's great. Yep. Tell that. Yeah. Beats it way better than opportunity economy. I think you should run with hashtag positive taxation. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Fuck, you make a t-shirt with your mugshot and positive taxation. And it'll be a fucking winner. You should put that on your little Trump coins you sell.
We are going to bring companies in at a level that you've never seen in this country before. I was doing it in my administration, and then what we did, and nobody's ever seen what we're doing. A combination.
You're right. No one's ever seen it, for good reason.
Of taxes, tariffs, and incentives. Companies are going to be coming into our country.
Yeah, nobody's ever done taxes, tariffs, and incentives in general to grow, expand, or raise the economy. No one's ever thought of using those 3 things in varying amounts. Motherfucker.
Car companies and many, that's for the manufacture of cars. They'll be flowing into our country like never before. You need jobs, and that's what you have to do.
Right, yeah, he just got and it's good that you brought that up because he got a degree in auto plant. What the fuck are you talking about? You don't even know what he does. Ask. This is, I mean, again, simple for our future politicians out there. If you don't mind me asking, and you don't have to say if you don't want to, but what were you studying? What field are you trying to get into? Because that's specific to the things that we're doing, and I might address a different thing that we're doing so that, I can speak directly to what you're doing, and then I'll speak more generally. Right? Wouldn't you be able to do that if you had great... I mean, it's taxes, it's tariffs, it's plans, and the farmer's doing great, and Hannibal Lecter.
Again, we also have to get prices down. When prices come down, companies will be able to afford to open up again. A lot of companies...
Yeah, we'd love to bring on another accountant, Sam, but... It's the cost of bacon. I'm sorry, my friend. It's you or bacon.
Over the last 3.5 years, have closed up. Companies that would have hired you are not even here anymore. We have had a terrible...
What, hired him for what? Hired him doing what? What would they have hired him to do? Maybe that's the one industry. Maybe he went into like chip fabrication and oh my God, dude, guess what? Get ready to move to Arizona.
President and vice president in terms of keeping small businesses going. We want small businesses, which are very, very important. It's actually they employ more. They are bigger than big businesses as a whole, and we want them taken care of.
As a whole.
But we're going to bring companies back into our country. We've lost so many companies back into our country.
Like what? Besides like Carrier and Foxconn?
At a level that we haven't seen before, and you're going to get a lot of...
This guy's totally buying it. You can see him just like he feels more at ease.
Jobs. You're not going to be looking at one job. You're going to be looking at a job that you want, because you...
This is so lame.
You don't want to just take a job. You want to take a job that's a job. I want to be with that company for 25 years or longer. And that's what's going to happen. You're going to have your choice. Right now,
That's called a career, dummy. And I don't know why you're allergic to thinking that Hispanic people and black people can have careers. That's what that jobs bullshit is about, by the way. When he goes black jobs, he means that black people do things you call a job. They don't have careers.
Going around, you can just get a job even if you don't want it. You need it.
Yeah, just sick of it. I got another job today. Damn it!
You're going to have your choice very soon. If I'm elected president, you're going to have a choice between lots of different companies, and you'll match it out with pay and with really very important, just as important as pay is you have to love what you're doing. If you don't love what you're doing, having a job is brutal. So congrats.
Oh God.
Congratulations on your degree. That's a big achievement. That really is a great thing. It's great that you did it. You will put that to use very soon.
You don't even know what he does. You don't even know what he does. Hey, asshole, what if, hear me out on this one, what if he went to law school and he wants to specialize in helping to adjudicate asylum cases? What about that? Maybe. Possibly. What do you think he'll have multiple opportunities to choose from? Shit.
When I'm elected president. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel, and congratulations.
He feels much better. That is a guy who got his question answered. Psst, dude, go over to the Harris rally and to tell you about helping you buy your first house, and then apprenticeships through unions, which can help you expand into whatever your job is beyond just what you learned in school. Pilot programs, that kind of stuff. Somebody who actually gives a shit. I don't know.
On that degree. Our next question comes from Natalie Martinez. She's 21 years old. She lives here in South Florida with her family. Natalie Martinez, 21 años. Vive aquí en el sur de la Florida con su familia. Adelante, Natalie.
Hola, expresidente Trump. Soy una estudiante universitaria. Hello.
Thank you very much. All right. I got to say, he's looking worse as this goes on. I think this Spanish accent, or even the language itself, may indeed be his kryptonite more than any other thing. Because, honest to God, I have lately said, and I stand by this, that he looks like Pat Robertson fucked a circus peanut. And I rest my case.
President Trump, I am in university.
Participé en una competencia sobre la deuda nacional y por eso me preocupa mucho.
I participated recently on a competition on the national debt, and that has gotten me very worried.
La deuda nacional ya está en $35 trillion y no para.
The national debt right now is $35 trillion, and it does not stop there.
Mi pregunta para ustedes, ¿qué haría su administración para reducirla, junto con el interés que pagamos para la deuda?
He's going to drill, baby, drill and sell the oil, apparently, after he nationalizes it. Is there something?
Question for you tonight is, what will you do to improve it, to reduce the debt, and also to pay alongside its...
I already said liquid gold. Don't you realize tariff liquid gold does everything? This will bring him into tariffs because he's already said liquid
interests.
Gold.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good question. So we do. We have record national debt. We've never had anything like...
By the way, he's responsible for a fucking third of it.
Like it before. We were getting ready to start paying down debt, and then...
Yeah, getting ready. Yeah, you got to stretch out first. You can't just start paying down debt. You got to, warm up. You don't want to throw something out while you're paying down the debt. We're going to ease into it, over by his plan 3 decades.
Then we got hit with a thing called COVID, or the China virus, and that had to be the focus, and we needed to help businesses stay in business. And if we didn't do the job we did, Linda McMahon did a great job, Small Business Association. If we didn't do the job that we did, you wouldn't
administration
have any companies ready. You would have been in a depression like in 1929. And we did a great job in keeping it all going. We ended up where the stocks were higher despite all of the COVID China virus that came into our country.
Right, because Joe Biden won and everybody was like, phew, no more of this asshole. You do realize that from November you thought you were going to win, but everybody else was like, yeah, he's fucking done.
The stocks, when I handed over, the stocks were higher than they were previous to the...
Yeah, because we'd made it through January 6th and Joe Biden was being sworn in. Yeah, we know. People were, we were like, oh, good. Fuck this guy.
COVID coming in. So we had to focus on that, obviously, but we had the best economy that we've ever had. We're going to have that again.
Again, gibberish.
What's going to solve the problem is growth. It's a thing called growth that nobody even talks.
Yeah, nobody talks about growth. It's a thing called growth. We're going to grow so big that our debt's going to be, in comparison to what we make, so fucking little that it's just going to disappear. I was like I have something in this hand, and that's so interesting. You're like, what did I have over here? I don't remember.
Talks about from the Democrat standpoint because they don't know about growth, but we're going to bring.
Yeah, they're only responsible for 50 out of the 51 million jobs created since 1990, and the only economic growth that has occurred under American presidents in the last 35 fucking years has happened under Democrats. We have no idea. Growth? What's that? Obviously, Trump knows a lot about growths. It's something he has lanced.
Bring companies in. We're going to bring tremendous business to our country. And that's going to solve that. Also, waste, fraud, and abuse. And we have Elon Musk, who's a fantastic guy and a fantastic...
He's an asshole.
Fantastic genius. He's a genius at a lot of things, but he's a great business.
Oh, yeah? Is he? He's a genius at a lot of things?
Business person. Also, in addition to sending rockets, you saw his rocket come down the other day and land. The way it landed was so incredible. Nobody had ever seen anything like that. But Elon called me and spent a lot of time. He endorsed me.
This guy is on deck. This guy. By the way, I started earlier today because I'm trying to chip away at some of the stuff I didn't get to cover. So expect marathon programming for the next couple days. I'm just saying. I'm going to drop out at like 10 at 2:50 my time, because I have family FaceTime at 3, and then I will be back on right after that at like 4, at my 4 o'clock time, like the normal show on Thursday, just letting you know. So we'll pick up where we left off, wherever I'm here. Go have a snack and come back.
Totally endorsed. He said if Trump doesn't win, our country may be finished. That's a pretty strong endorsement from a truly brilliant guy. But we're putting...
Oh, yeah? Based on what? Brilliant what? What was his big brilliant move? To be born to apartheid wealth? Born into apartheid wealth?
Him in charge. He wants to do this so badly of cost cutting, bringing costs down so that it won't affect the people, but the waste and abuse in this country, the fraud in this country is massive.
Yeah, we know. We had I don't know if you know this, we had a former president who was found guilty of like 34 counts of fraud. He's like a fucking crook, this guy. This is a tremendous amount. I mean, there's less, obviously, because as soon as he gets sentenced in late November, that'll be, like, just take that piece off the fucking play field. You know what I'm saying? Just take it off the board. Oh, hey, it's you.
And he and his team are going to work on that. We're going to get it down.
His team. Yeah, Elon, Vlad, Jinping.
Down. We're going to start paying off debt. But the key is growth. We have to grow the country. Keep the debt the same and then bring it down and grow the country, and we'll be strong.
Keep the debt the same and grow the country. What'd I tell you?
Stronger than ever. You elect me president, we're going to be stronger than ever. That's what I do. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't think she's buying it. And I also think this lady is on the fence as well. This fella looks like his son snuck in after 11:30 and is feeding him a raft of bullshit about his friend's car breaking down. And this lady is regretting this trip entirely.
Thank you, President Trump.
Thank you, Natalie. President Trump, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more questions from undecided Latino voters. Una breve pausa, ya regresamos con...
Wait, these are undecided Latino voters? This is who we're dealing with? This is the allegedly? Okay. Oh, and then they go to here, and they take a break, and they go back to thing, and then they go back to the, and we jump back in. Ladies and gentlemen. By the way, hit that like, subscribe, give a thumbs up to the show. If you're on Facebook, give me an angry emoji if you could. If you're on Twitch, any emoji is good. Just a flurry of them would be lovely. Oh, we're back. Here he is, Mr. Flatulence. He dreams of this.
Estamos de regreso en este encuentro histórico entre votantes latinos y el expresidente Donald Trump. And we're back, President Trump. Our next question comes from Guadalupe Ramirez. She's a mother of 3. Her parents were born in Mexico and benefited from the Bracero program in the 1980s and became citizens.
Oh, dear. It's very dangerous, you know. They're saying the bad word, you know. It's basically letting them in with that Ronald Reagan fellow. He allowed them all to stay. Remember that? It was very bad.
Adelante con tu pregunta.
It's the thing Republicans pretend to hate now.
Lupe, madre de 3, tus padres se beneficiaron del programa Bracero.
Sí, un poquito antes de los 80s, un par de décadas antes.
Before the 80s then.
Buenas noches, señor expresidente.
And by the way, Señor ex-presidente. That's why he's still smiling, by the way. They're all calling him ex-presidente. It's pretty great, I gotta say. And that picked up, I think the first question might have skipped it, and the other dude who went to college didn't do it. But from this point on, I'm fairly certain everybody calls him ex-presidente, and he never catches on.
Yo vivo en los suburbios de Chicago y a diario yo veo las consecuencias del flujo.
She lives in Streamwood, Illinois, in Chicago. She was born in Chicago. Awesome. We like her already. And she's 2 years younger than I am.
Migratorio que ha ocurrido en
She looks fantastic.
estos últimos años.
Good evening, Mr. President. I live in the suburbs of Chicago. Daily, I see the consequences of the migration flow.
¿Cuál es su plan para una reforma migratoria?
What is your plan for an immigration reform?
Y quisiera preguntarle, ¿por qué usó su influencia sobre los legisladores republicanos para que no respaldaran la propuesta que hubiese brindado refuerzos a la frontera?
And I also would like to ask you why you used your influence to ask the Republican legislators to not back up the strengthening of our border through the proposal.
You like strong borders, so do I. And we have them. We had the strongest border we've ever had.
We do? We have them? Oh, good. Well, that answers that question. I guess we can shut this whole thing down. Turn the lights off, everybody. We're done. Okay.
In the recorded history of our country.
Which is also silly. No, we didn't.
We had...
Oh, well, unless you count COVID, where no one was moving because everyone was afraid that wherever they were going, there might be more cases than where they were, which is exactly what was happening in Mexico.
4 years ago, we had a border that was great. And again, people were coming in, but...
Thanks, COVID!
But they were coming in through a legal process. They were great people coming into our country. And when you say Chicago, immediately we have to think about the crime because it's so dangerous in Chicago. And some of these people came from...
She lives in a suburb. She's fine.
Other countries. Many of them came from other countries. So what we're going to...
Oh, what? Other countries? Should there be... I think we should outlaw other countries. Yes.
Do is we have to be much tougher on crime. The Democrats are weak. Don't forget, the Democrats run Chicago. They have a mayor from Chicago. They have a...
Yeah, that is true. The Chicago mayor is from Chicago. I will say that. That is, I mean, when you're right, you're right.
Terrible. They have a governor who's horrible. Pritzker, he's a horrible governor. That's the state of Illinois.
I see. Governors do states. I see. She might not know that because she lives in the suburbs of Chicago and was born there.
He's horrible. And they're very weak on crime. You want to make sure that you're not attacked, you're not mugged, you're not shot. Chicago's a very dangerous city right now. It's a great city potentially, but right now it's a very dangerous city. And we're working on that, but we have Democrats running it. Everything the Democrats run is bad.
Except, I guess, currently the media, the stock market, the tech industry, since Democrats have control of big tech, and they do what we say. We now have AI and the greatest advancements in computing since Moore's law came into existence. But I would say print media is coming back as well. But we're certainly doing very well in the streaming services.
25 cities. They're all run by Democrats, and they're crime-ridden.
Oh, right. You mean the biggest cities in the country with the biggest economies that pay for all the red states? You mean those? You mean the engine that runs, you know, the cities that have all the crime, but they also have all the coffee and sex and theaters and fucking parks and amusement parks and fucking zoos. Yeah, fucking zoos.
And crime-infested cities. The Republicans running, they don't have the same problem because we have law and order.
Because they barely have any people?
Order, we have it the way you need it. You need to be safe. You want to walk across the street for a loaf of bread, you want to...
Yeah. Obviously, that's what you do, because we all live in a cartoon from Electric Company and Sesame Street, I guess.
Be able to walk and not get shot or not get mugged or anything else. So we're going to bring that back. I'm bringing a lot back to help the Democrat mayors, where they have them, run their cities better, because they can't run their cities. They're crime infested, and Chicago's an example of it. And we're going to make it good. As far as the
yeah, by the way, she lives in a suburb. She's fine.
Border, we want to have a strong border, and we want people to come in. And that's what we had. Remember, we had the strongest border in history, and we had the best economy in history. Two things.
Two lies. No, we didn't. And you don't get credit for the border during COVID, but the economy outside of COVID. You were either president the whole fucking time or you weren't, asshole.
I had. And I said, that's pretty good. We also...
Is that what you said?
We got into no wars. I didn't get into any wars. I'm the first president.
You bombed a base in Syria. You were constantly... You were going to destroy the caliphate of ISIS, which is not a country.
President in 84 years that never got into a war, but I...
By the way, we're not in a war either. Biden hasn't started any new wars. Just like, we're not on the hook if Russia attacks Ukraine. We're not on the hook if Hamas attacks Israel. We can defend these folks, but if you're saying we should not defend Israel, then fucking say so.
I beat ISIS, and we beat them in...
I mean, I know he doesn't think we should defend Ukraine, so...
2 months instead of, I guess they told me it was going to take years, like 5 years.
Oh, yeah, that's only if you don't want to kill any civilians or children, which is obviously bullshit, right?
I did it in 2 months. Our military is incredible. I rebuilt the military. But remember these two things. I had the strongest border in the history of our...
This is the worst Jedi mind trick ever. What do you think, you're some kind of Jedi or something?
Country. And had the best economy in the history of our country. And I had no inflation. No inflation.
Yeah, you did. If you had no inflation, you'd have stagnation. You have to have some. Otherwise, money doesn't get loaned into existence. Businesses don't expand. Of course you have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
That was not an answer to her question, by the way, which I barely remember, but essentially it was like, what are you going to do? Why did you block the border bill? Was the biggest chunk of her question.
Thank you, President Trump. Our next question comes from Arizona, a key state in the upcoming election. José Saralegui lives right on the border with Mexico. José Saralegui, de la frontera de Sonora y Arizona. Una pregunta para el presidente Trump. Adelante.
So more than likely, this guy has smoked weed with Doug Stanhope. So I look forward to his question.
Thank you.
Soy un republicano, registrado republicano, pero en este momento me encuentro indeciso.
Good evening, President Trump. I am a Republican. I am a registered Republican, but at this time I am undecided.
I am undecided. O'Hara's treachery has disgraced us. What were you doing when you attacked my guards last night? Wasn't me. Man, you come right out of a comic book.
En la campaña se han utilizado muchas teorías de conspiración.
During the campaign, there has been some conspiracy theories in use.
Le doy un ejemplo si me permite.
If you allow me, I would like to give you an example of it.
Las autoridades de Springfield, Ohio, han aclarado una y otra vez que los haitianos no se están comiendo los perros ni los gatos de sus gentes.
People are saying people in Springfield, Ohio are eating pets and cats.
In Springfield, Ohio have more than one time clarified that the Haitians are not eating their cats and their dogs.
Sin embargo, usted les quiere revocar su permiso que tienen para residir legalmente en este país.
Nonetheless, you want to revoke the permit they have to legally reside in this country.
Mi pregunta, con todo respeto, es si usted verdaderamente cree que estas personas se comen las mascotas de la gente.
My question to you very respectfully is, do you really believe that these people are eating the people's pets?
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And this was just reported. I was just saying what was reported. That's been reported.
You chicken shit. Yeah, by the way, great question, well phrased and the like. And Trump's whole thing is, you know how Trump does this? Yeah, he is turning red. He's embarrassed. This whole thing that Trump does with, he came very highly recommended. But, you know, very recommended. All the best scholars told me that, you know, everybody wanted Roe v. Wade terminated, right? That shit. That is him passing the buck. This is another version of, it's not my fault. I read it. It's not my fault I read it and regurgitated it. What do you expect me to do? I see it on the internet and I just say it. Wait, what, you want me to vet this shit?
Reported. And eating other things, too, that they're not supposed to be. But this is...
Yeah, the stop signs, fire hydrants. They're like billy goats, I guess. They'll just eat tin cans.
All I do is report. I have not... I was there. I'm going to be there. And we're going to take a look. And I'll give you a full report.
He was not there. He's going to be there. He was not there.
When I do, but that's been in the newspapers and reported pretty broadly. I will say this.
No, it has not.
As far as Springfield is concerned, because I do know that situation. You have a city of 52,000 people, and they've added almost 30,000 migrants into the city. If you were a person...
Yeah, because their infrastructure around there was getting an enormous fucking facelift, and they don't have the workers to cover it. They never would. And these people have families too. They're not just there like, you want to bitch about loner dudes being everywhere. But the reason there's 32,000 of them is because it's family units, you fucking creep.
And that lived there, if you lived in Springfield, Ohio, and all of a sudden you couldn't get into a hospital, you couldn't get your children into a school.
No one has had that problem. Not a fucking one. Nobody is being turned away from a hospital or a fucking school in Springfield. Nobody. What are you talking about?
You wouldn't be able to buy groceries. You could no longer pay the rent because the government's paying rent. Any of that, if any of that happened, it would be a disaster for you and you wouldn't be happy. We want to make our...
Also, the government's paying the rent. No, it isn't. These people work. They have jobs. They pay their own rent.
People safe and secure, and we want to make them happy. But Springfield, Ohio is a perfect example. You have a town, a beautiful little town with no problems. All of a sudden they have 30...
By the way, as it turns out, this guy's making his decision as this man speaks. You can tell.
32,000 people dropped into the town, most of whom don't speak the language, most of whom...
Fuck you, dude. You're talking to somebody through a translator. This dude's a fucking engineer. Yeah, I gotta go in a second. This guy's an engineer. You asshole. He's an engineer. God damn.
Don't speak the language at all. And what they're doing is they're looking all over for interpreters. Well, I mean, I think you can't just...
What do you mean? French?
Destroy our country. It's maybe some people disagree with me, but you can't put in a very short period of time 32,000 people into a 50,000 people town and expect things to go well.
Into a 50,000 people town.
It's a disaster. It's a total disaster. And the people that live there are, you know, they want to leave, they want to move, because if you read about it or talk to them, people want to move, they want to leave because they've never had anything like this. And we can't let that happen to our towns.
Why are they moving? We've already established no one's cat and dog is getting eaten. Is it just because the people are black? Is that what it is? It's the voodoo, isn't it? It's probably the voodoo.
In our cities and our country, just can't let it happen. It's not sustainable. I appreciate the question. Thank you. I hope you vote for a Republican.
Gracias.
He's not going to. I guarantee it. Now, on that note, I'm going to take a pause, chat, if you don't mind. I'll be back at 4 o'clock at my regular time. I got to go do my family FaceTime that I do every Thursday, which is why the show is later on Thursdays. So I will be back at 4 o'clock at the regular time. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Take care of yourselves. We'll pick up where we left off, and then we're going to go on with the what was the other one? Trump on valuetainment. And then there's a couple of clips that I have too of people like there's the Harris Faulkner thing. Like, I've got a lot to cover, so we'll make our way through as much of it as we can. All right, much love, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. And I think I have a button somewhere that allows me to take care of business.